Warning, this game contains content that might not be suitable for most audiences. Viewers' discretion is advised. I should go out tonight. I flicked on my computer. There had to be somewhere open late. Oh, Cafe Royale, the Jackalope, Route 66. I reckon we'll head over to Cafe Royale, place for the performing arts, because why not? Also, welcome in to Boyfriend to Death 2. The long-awaited series you guys have been waiting for, and in case it wasn't obvious enough, this game is meant for those who are 18 and above, so hey, keep in mind of that. And of course, I will be skipping over certain scenes, which you will be able to watch over on my Patreon. So anyway, let's get right into it, shall we? Maybe a cafe would be nice tonight. I left my apartment and headed to the cafe. It was actually pretty quiet. You call this quiet? The sound of a piano slowly began to cut through the silence like tissue, and I was soon completely mesmerized by the bewitching music. I don't even really remember entering the cafe, I was so enthralled. Moonlight Sonata. A suave voice broke me from my stupor. I suddenly found myself standing next to the source of the alluring music. Enjoying the music. Oh, it's this route. Yeah, I am. I stared at him for a moment before responding. Ah, yeah, it's actually very lovely. He looked up from the keys, his hands continuing their melodious work. Please, have a seat. He nodded to a nearby chair before returning his attention to the ivories. I took my seat and quietly watched him play. His long fingers danced elegantly across the keys, and I couldn't help but be hypnotized all over again. I stared at the side of his face and watched him for a moment. I want to know more about him. Is there something on my face? His joking comment brought me back to reality. Again, I looked up at him and shook my head. No. Just amazed by your playing. He chuckled and gave me a side glance. Now, I know that you didn't come all the way here just to listen to me play. He took his hands off the keys and turned to face me, finally giving me his full attention. So then, sweetheart, what can I do for you? Right, I guess the coffee sounds good about now. Maybe I did come here for the music. Is that a crime? Maybe I just want to find some interesting people to talk. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Oh, and do I fit that interesting person criteria? I couldn't come up with a response. I only blushed harder. He then got up from his bench and motioned for me to follow him. Come with me. What about the piano? I asked, pointing at the beautiful instrument. Don't worry. It's not going anywhere. He held out his hand and helped me out of my seat. We walked over to the barista's counter together and ordered some coffee. I watched him as he spoke to the woman working behind the counter. I kept my eyes on him. I was finding it exceedingly difficult to look somewhere else. So, what's your name, love? He asked, his attention now back on me. I snapped back to reality before managing to choke out my name. It's Lion. He brought me over to the table. He pushed a fancy-looking coffee with ice cream towards me. A pleasure to meet you. My name is Cain. Cain picked up a spoon and offered it to me. Here, give this a try. This place serves the best affogato that you will ever taste. I don't really like ice cream. Take the spoon. You first. Alright, as long as you don't mind having some of my germs with your dessert. Cain laughed, picked up the spoon, and took a bite. He dipped it back in and then held out the spoon for me. Open? I opened my mouth for him and took a bite. It was so delicious, I ended up taking the spoon from him and licked the cream off of it. It's absolutely delicious. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Cain looked at the clock hanging above the barista's counter. Oh, is it that time already? He looked at me and leaned his head to the side. I suppose time really does fly when you're having fun. He stood up, took my hand in his and gave it a kiss. Have a lovely rest of your night, my dear. Unfortunately, I have to go, but I do hope that we meet again. Started making his way towards the exit. Wait, have a good night. I should probably get going to the... Well, have a good night. You know, it's kind of funny. You don't strike me as the type to have a bedtime. I teased. He responded with a jovial laugh. Well, I'm not as young as I used to be. I need to get my beauty sleep. He pushed his fingers through his hair. You look fairly young. How old are you exactly, Cain? Cain chuckled a little and raised his eyebrows in what seemed like amusement. Have a good night, my dear. Maybe we'll meet again someday. He waved at me before finally walking out the door. Yeah, maybe. I noticed a large black feather sitting on the table. I picked it up and examined it. How did this get here? Something about it was strange. It didn't look like a normal bird feather. It was much larger and thicker than any feather that I've ever seen. What the heck is... My heart inexplicably started pounding. I dropped the feather back on the table, but the thumping didn't stop. I got up from my seat and rushed out of the cafe. Maybe I could just walk it off. The pulse in my chest only grew more severe as I tried to walk home. My heart was beating so loud in my ears I couldn't even think straight. It felt like my heart was going to explode. Despite this mysterious affliction, I ran home. I ran until my muscles burned and the acid in my stomach crawled up my throat. I put my hand over my mouth as the urge to vomit began to creep in. Almost there. I pulled the keys out of my pocket and hastily searched through them as I approached my door. I leaned myself against my door and wiped the sweat from my forehead. I was exhausted from the whole thing. What was happening to me? Why was I feeling this way? I could feel tears streaming down my face. I was scared. I shoved my face into one of my pillows and cried into it. I needed help, but I didn't know what to do. I was so tired. My eyelids fluttered before closing, finally losing that last shred of energy that I had. I felt a gentle warmth touch my face. The sun. I groaned as I flipped over my sheets, feeling how soft they were under my hands. They smelled nice too. Wait, my windows didn't catch the sun in the morning. Only during sunset. I sat up quickly and looked around. This wasn't my room. Where was I? I noticed a note on the nightstand next to the bed. I nervously reached for it. Meet me in the living room. Living room? I looked at the other side of the card. I don't have a living room! Nothing else was written. I got out of bed and looked at my body. When did I take my clothes off? I was only in my underwear. I left the strange room, clutching the note close to me. I wandered into the living room. My eyes scanned the large, expensive-looking apartment until they found a man standing in front of a window led out to a balcony. Cain? My voice escaped my lips. He turned around to face me and that horrible feeling that I got from the feathers started to come back. Oh, you're awake. How was your sleep? I didn't answer. I wasn't in the mood for his jokes. That well, huh? His gentle voice from last night turned cruel and sadistic. What's happening? How did I get here? My voice was trembling. Even through my anger, I couldn't mask the fear and unease I was feeling. Cain laughed diabolically at me. Then I noticed something odd happening to Cain. What is going on with Cain? I wasn't sure if what I was seeing was real or just a hallucination. His body was starting to change. His form shifted into someone else entirely. He ran a hand through his red hair and stared at me. Why are you hotter? Why, I brought you here, of course. I have to get out. Why is that your first thought? My first thought is, can I stay? I took a step back and started inching out of the room before breaking into a run. I didn't get very far as my body collided with some sort of invisible barrier. Hard. Like Cain. Cain sighed as he watched me crumple to the floor. Tisk. I rolled around to face him. His bright yellow eyes pierced through me as some phantom hand grabbed my neck and dragged me across the floor. Hot. I struggled to breathe as the ghostly claw tightened its grip around my throat. I frantically grabbed at my neck, trying to get whatever was choking me to stop. All I could do was writhe and squirm helplessly on the floor. Don't waste your energy, my pet. A lowly creature like you has no hope of escaping. Just accept your fate as my new toy and make this easy on yourself. Cain's hand replaced the unseen one as he picked me up from the ground by my neck. He held me up and stared at me, jet-black wings extended from his back. Oh, he's cool! What was he? Alright, I'll tell you. I'm going to flay your skin, crack your bones, play with your organs, and maybe even drink your blood. I'll be doing whatever I damn well please. He released my throat and I dropped to the floor. You will beg for death, and you will get it. Once I've had my fill of you. Until that time comes, you will be living on your knees. I could feel the same invisible force pinning my entire body to the floor. It felt like a giant rock was slowly crushing me. He didn't even need to lay a finger on me. It was monster. Cain watched me as I fought back in vain to pick myself up. He then stomped and grinded the heel of his shoe into the side of my head. That being said, I'm interested in seeing how long you'll last. Cain removed his foot and turned away. His wings receded into his back as the unseen pressure faded. Why are you doing this? Stay quiet. Why me? Well, why me? Why you indeed? Cain leaned against the window. You humans are a dime a dozen. None of you are as unique as all of you like to believe, but you... He crossed his arms and looked up at the ceiling. It seemed like he was entirely sure himself. Let's just say that you happen to fit my interesting person criteria. He shifted his gaze over to me. Honestly, you should feel honored that I chose you to be my little puppet. It's a privilege that not too many get to enjoy. I tried to stand up slowly. My legs were wobbling as I did, but I managed. Keep me interested in you, love. He went to sit down. I'll talk to Cain? Cain looked over his shoulder at me. What is it, meat? His tone suddenly rude and uncouth. So what now? Is this the part where I get tied up? Where are we? Is this the part where I get tied up? Restrain me so I can't escape? Oh, there will be some tying up later. If I'm in the mood for it. Nice. But it's not going to be what you think it's for. I mean, I can think of many ways you could be tying me up. All of them I'm into. His eyes shifted to the door for a moment and then back to me. Listen, sweetheart. Even if you somehow managed out of here, you most certainly would die out there. What do you mean? I asked, unclear as to what he meant by that. You are in my domain. There's no way a human like you could survive out there. Lots of nasty creatures outside would love to get their claws on a tasty little morsel like you, he said, pointing to the door. So, if you want to go take your chance out there, be my guest. But if you ask me, it's much nicer in here. Cain raised his arms in approval of his abode. So, I'm dead either way. Great. I held my face in my hands. I felt so utterly defeated. He then walked over and got in close to my ear. That's about the size of it. Yeah. Cain moved to the couch and took a seat. He lifted a book off the table and began to read it. It's not polite to stare. I'm sorry, you're just too hot, Cain. Come on. Did anyone teach you any manners? I jumped, startled by Cain's comment. I didn't even realize I was staring at him. Asked him to let you go, back off, yell at him. Yeah, I'll back off. I should look around more. Bathroom, bedroom! I walked into Cain's bedroom and looked around. It was beautiful, and I looked out the window. Nothing more outside than red sky. I sighed and moved away from the window. There wasn't anything important here. I spent some time in Cain's bedroom. Where should I go tonight? Balcony? I walked into the living room and looked around. It was a little dark in here, but I managed to see a silhouette on the balcony. I crept through the darkness and carefully made my way towards the patio. Cain didn't react to my opening of the sliding door, maintaining his focus to something off in the distance. Come over here. His tone was different from earlier. It sounded more soft and thoughtful. I wandered over to him and looked at the horizon. I noticed that the sky looked different. Something about it seemed off. It seemed kind of unnatural. Where are we? What are you looking at? You don't seem like the type to enjoy the scenery. I'll go for what are you looking at? Cain kept his eyes on the horizon. Huh? The sunset, Cain said as he nodded over to the skyline. Don't tell me you've never seen the sunset before. It was definitely no sunset that I've ever seen. It looked kind of abnormal to me. Say what you will about this place. The sunset is always beautiful in Tartarus. We're in hell! Nice! I stood next to Cain and watched the sunset with him. As strange as the sunset in this place was, I couldn't help but think that it did look kind of pretty. I leaned into his touch without thinking. Huh? Cain shifted in front of me and I felt my back hit the rail of the balcony. He leaned down and nuzzled my neck. Cain, I gasped as he put his hands on my hips. You smell nice, Cain whispered into my skin. I trembled as his hands traveled up and down my body. I felt his lips touch my neck and I gasped. Please, don't. He suddenly grabbed me by the neck and lifted me off the floor. What are you doing? I kicked and screamed as I hovered above the ground. Cain ripped my underwear off my legs. Oh! Okay. I fell to my knees, still clinging onto the railing. I was too weak to stand. Not after that. As I struggled to pull myself up, I felt something soft fall on my shoulders. It was Cain's blazer. I placed my hand on it for a moment before pulling it around me. It was strange how warm and comforting it felt. Also, yes, I did skip a scene, which I did mention at the beginning. If there was anything that was a bit too spicy for YouTube, y'all won't be able to see it. If you do want to see it, hey, link to my Patreon is in the description below. But anyway, Cain waved his hand dismissively. Don't worry about it. He offered me a hand and helped me to my feet. I leaned on his shoulder and placed a hand on my head. The sound of waves was soothing. The feeling of Cain's shoulder was comfortable. I began to nod off as he gently ran his finger through my hair. His soft voice interrupted the tranquil silence. Come on, let's get you back inside. I wandered back inside with him and went straight to bed. I looked around and got up. I didn't see Cain anywhere. I walked into the main room and looked around. Look at the kitchen? I walked to the small kitchen area and looked inside the cabinets. I was met with a drawer full of knives. I'm not gonna take the knife. Like, not yet at least. I feel like taking a knife will lead to a dead end. I looked over the knives and decided to leave them. I shut the drawer and walked off to the bedroom. I walked into the bedroom and saw the back of Cain's head. He was sitting on the bed and he looked over his shoulder at me and put up his hand. Come here, pet, he said, as I could feel myself being dragged across the ground. He put his hand on my face. He looked over at the walls of his bedroom as he snapped his fingers. Chains shot out of the wall as they grabbed my wrist. Yay! I struggled to get free. You are unforgivably boring. Cain stood over me. The chains gripped me tight and pulled me on the bed. He put his foot on the middle of my chest and pushed down. Ask me nicely to let you go, Cain said as he pushed into my sternum. More! I'm gonna ask for more! I looked at him and he cocked his head to the side. I want more, I said, hoping it would make him happy. Oh? You want me to be rough? He said as he gripped his hand. I could feel chains hook around my ankles. Let's play a game then. Cain put out his hands as the chains stretched me out. I felt my limbs stretching tight as I looked up at him. The metal was digging into my wrist. This isn't enough, Cain! You need to give me more! Want more, huh? Cain put out his hand and my limbs tugged up above my head and my legs pulled down. I screamed as loud as I could as he pulled my limbs. Do you know what a rack is? My joints started to pull at the seams. I could feel my muscles pull apart as I looked at him. Please stop. I begged as his chain slowly pulled me apart. Stop? Now why would I want to do that? You asked so nicely for more. I could feel something creaking in my limbs. Oh no! Oh no, Cain! Cain! Cain, this is a little too much! But I want more! I sobbed as Cain stood to the side watching me. I heard a loud crack as pain shot out from all my lips. I could feel my bones breaking under the stretch of the chains. I felt my body convulsing as Cain's loud laughter filled my ears. You won't be needing those anymore, Cain said as I could feel my limbs quickly being torn from their spots. My blood flew into the air as I went cold. You died. Cain ripped you apart. God damn it. Okay, fine. I'll ask him to stop. Like, it's not what I would have chosen, but I'll ask him to stop. I bit my lip. I didn't want to beg for my life. I just wanted him to stop. Please, stop. He gave me one swift kick into my chest. I could hear something in my chest crack. I let out a loud scream and tried to put my hands on the shoe, but the chain strung me tighter. I could feel my arms pulling from the sockets. They were holding on by just a small thread as I screamed again. I could hear the joints popping as I cringed, biting my lip. Louder. I can't hear you from down there. Cain mocked as he pushed down on my chest. I was glad that the bed was soft and sunk me down. If not, I'm sure he would have cracked more of my ribs. Please let me go! Alright. Just cause you asked so nicely. He dropped me on the bed as I held my arms. I pulled and huddled up, keeping all my limbs close to me. He flicked my forehead and walked away from me. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to sleep. I lay down in his bed and closed my eyes. I opened my eyes and looked around. I was back home. Something feels wrong here. What happened? Maybe everything that just happened was a dream. I sat up and felt a pain shooting in my side. Ah! I looked down my side and saw that I was bleeding through the sheet. My heart started to race as I looked at myself. I was still naked and covered in injuries. No, I whispered as I turned my arm over. The cross and wings. I saw it at Cain's house. But why was I home? Excuse me. An unfamiliar voice called to my side. What? Who are you? I felt a cold sinking feeling as I slowly turned my head towards the man to my side. It felt like an ice-cold bucket of water was dumped over my head as the man approached me. My blood felt cold as he leaned into me. Do you know who I am? He asked me in a low, dark drawl. I sat up straight, any pain or embarrassment shut down by his voice. I opened my mouth to speak, but I couldn't say anything. I shook my head. He sighed and pulled up his glasses. I didn't think so. My name is Samael. I'm here to take you. Take me? I croaked out finally. Your life. Your time is up. Wait! No! No! I stammered out, putting out my hand, trying to push him away. Samael grabbed my arm and looked at the mark on it. His red eyes narrowed. What's this? I don't know. I think Cain... That's all you needed to say. He put my arm down. He put out his hand as the room dropped colder. My toes and fingers started to tingle. I was going to take your life, but... Sam gripped his hand and large ice spikes pushed through my skin. What? Where did this come from? I let out a loud scream as the cold spears pierced through my flesh. I coughed blood on the ice as I gripped the spikes. I tried to pull myself away, but I was getting weak. You're going to Judecca. I have some questions for you. I started to sink into the floor. He put his boot against the bridge of my nose. Oh, step on me, Samael! You don't want to be awake for this part. He smashed my nose in. I could feel myself slipping into unconsciousness as a wave of cold blackness overcame me. He died. Cain What do you mean he abandoned me? Okay, this time I'll take the knife, even though I don't want to. I'll take the knife. I smiled to myself and grabbed one. I looked at the knife. It looked pretty sharp. I gripped the handle tight and sneered. Maybe if I got a drop on him, I could take him down. I walked softly towards Cain's bedroom and peered into the door. He was sitting on the chair in his room with his back to the door. I lit up and hid the knife behind my back as I tiptoed towards him. I lifted the knife as my heart started to race. Now! I brought my arm down on him, but it stopped. Ah! He didn't look up from his book as I could feel myself being thrown onto the back wall. It felt like there was an invisible hand around my neck as I kicked my legs. You know, if you weren't being so noisy, you might have been able to stab me. He got up and picked the knife off the floor. Cain looked down the blade. This is pretty sharp, isn't it? He snapped his fingers and my legs started to spread out for him. I gasped loudly and tried to close them, but the pressure was too much. Ah! Let go! Cain walked over to me, waving the kitchen knife. I don't think so, darling. He poked the tip of the blade to my knees as I let out a soft whimper. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction, but that feeling faded as he dragged the knife up my inner thigh. I let out a loud cry as he dug in. He licked his lips as he watched the blood spill out of my leg and dropped the knife before he hit my groin. Very sharp indeed. Cain leaned down and licked the blood off my leg. I gasped as his tongue hit the cut and he looked up at me. Moan? Why is this an option? I'm going to moan! You like that? Cain stared at me as I tried to keep my mouth shut. Damn it! Why did I? The pressure around my neck lightened a bit as I took another breath. It's hard enough just to feel good. I moaned softly as he rubbed the blood with his thumb. You know, It's very alluring. You trying to kill me? Was that just foreplay? He rubbed himself against me, and I shook my head. I want you dead, fam! I want to leave! Cain unzipped himself. Well, he patted my head and licked my blood off his hand. You can call me Master if you want. Yeah, I'll call him Master. Fine, Master. Good. He leaned in and nuzzled me. Keep it that way. Cain got off the bed and walked away. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to sleep. I laid down in his bed and closed my eyes. Also, yes, I did skip a whole entire scene, so hey, you know what to do. I opened my eyes and looked around. I was back home. What happened? Maybe everything that happened was just a dream. I sat up and felt a pain shooting in my side. Yeah! I lay down my side and it was bleeding through the sheet. I feel like we've been through this before. So Cain abandons us again and check out the bedroom will actually lead to the same endings as before. So this time I'm actually going to be following a guide to make Cain turn us into a demon, because why the heck not? Maybe I came in for the music. Is that a crime? He laughed at me and crossed his arms. As far as I know, it's not. But I think you might have to reevaluate your priorities, Sugar. He stood up. What about the piano? I asked. What, you had a beautiful instrument? Don't worry. It's not going anywhere. He held out his hand and helped me out of my seat. We walked over to the barista's counter together and ordered some coffee. I watched him as he spoke to the woman working behind the counter. I kept my eyes on him. I was finding it exceedingly difficult to look anywhere else. So what's your name, love? We're gonna skip ahead to when we actually get the ice cream. Okay, so instead of taking the ice cream, let's not. I don't really like ice cream, thank you very much. That's too bad. I suppose I should ask you what you liked first. Cain chuckled before digging into the dessert himself and pushing his black coffee over to me. Maybe you should try this instead. The coffee here is still very good. He dipped his spoon into the bowl and continued to eat the affogato. I looked down the steaming dark coffee and took a sip. Despite the inky color, the flavor was rich and flavorful. He was right. It was really good. Cain looked at a clock hanging above the barista's counter. Oh, is it that time already? He looked at me and leaned over to the side. I suppose time really does fly when you're having fun. It really does. And now we're gonna wish him a good night and hey, let's see him over at his place. Why not? So we asked Cain why he kidnapped us. He gave us his whole explanation, which was not an explanation at all. And instead of talking to Cain, we're gonna look around. I wasn't really in the mood to speak with Cain. I looked around the room. Everything looked pretty normal. I shuffled through his magazines on the table. It was just some business and world news stuff. He seemed like a pretty serious guy despite his attentions for me. It didn't seem like he was all too interested in speaking with me as well. Cain just sipped his coffee and looked outside. Huh. Well, it's nice out. I spoke to him hesitantly, unsure of his mood. He took a sip of his coffee and set it on the windowsill. Yeah, very nice. Being locked away for so long, you start to forget what the sun looks like. Locked away? Like in prison. I shifted nervously, but I kept my eyes on him. Was this guy an ex-con? I felt sweat beginning to crawl down the back of my neck. He looked out the window again. I suppose you could call it that. It's a prison of some sort. I believe you humans know it by a different name. Cain's tone was somber, making it apparent that this wasn't a happy subject for him. Was that why he was keeping me here? Did he want someone else to go through what he did? Or did he just want someone to take his rage out on? Why me of all people? I don't know. I didn't want to ask him any more questions. I didn't want to think about it. Cain moved to the couch and took a seat. He lifted a book off the table and began to read it. Alright, we're just gonna skip ahead. Okay, so he was reading, he asked us to back off. We did back off. We chose to take a look into the bedroom, and apparently there is a tiny ass phone in the middle of his bedroom. We're gonna click on it. I walked over to Cain's side table and looked at the phone. It started to ring. I squeaked and picked it up. Hello? I whispered into the receiver. The black screen lit up with the image of a man. It must have been the guy calling. Cain, I swear to God! Stop sending me weird pictures! Wait, I'm not Cain. I said a bit louder. The angry guy stopped growling and looked at the phone. What? What are you doing on this phone? I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm scared. He paused for a moment, thinking. My name is Damien. Please, try calm down and speak quietly. I could hear the desperation in his voice. I was at a cafe and woke up here. Damien made a sound of frustration. This typical bull. I wasn't the first one. If you can please call me back tomorrow on this phone. I want to help you, but I don't have all my tools to track the call. What's your name? My name is Lion. I'm gonna do my best, okay? I want you out of there. Safe. I nodded and looked at the door. I have to go. I panicked into the phone and hung up. I quickly deleted the recent call and put the phone back on the table. Cain opened the door and I laid down on his bed. What are you doing in here? I'm just laying on your bed. Alright. I thought I heard you talking to yourself. Perhaps I was mistaken. Cain walked out of the room. That was close. Was Damien really going to try to help me? I wonder if I could trust him. I spent some time in Cain's bedroom. Where should I go tonight? We're not going to the balcony. Let's head over to the living room. I saw Cain at the stove, cooking something. Steak? What's that? It's steak. What kind? Beef, silly child. What else would I be eating? I was human once as well, you know. I narrowed my eyes as I could feel myself being lifted off the ground. Hey! I screamed as he slammed me down onto the table. He loomed over me. Stay still, my pet. He placed the hot meat on my stomach. I felt it burning through my skin, and I slapped my hand over my mouth to muffle the scream. I could feel my stomach muscles tighten as he leans over me. You don't need to scream. Just don't move. Cain took out a sharp-looking fork and stabbed it into the meat. It grazed my skin. I let out a small relief sigh but quickly stiffened back up when he took out a knife. A sharp ritual dagger. Stay still? I stayed still and did as he asked. I was trembling slightly, but Cain didn't seem to notice it. Cain pushed the knife into the meat and began cutting through it. I could feel the sharp teeth of the knife digging into the upper layer of my skin. Let out a small pained noise. This meat is a bit overcooked. Cain looked at a piece of meat. Still a bit bloody though. It was covered in my blood as he put it into his mouth. He looked at me as I trembled lightly. Are you hungry? He didn't let me begin before I started cutting into my thigh. I screamed and he put his hand over my mouth, pushing me down on the table. Don't scream. Cain pushed the knife into my muscle. The pain shot through my skin as he tore off the piece of flesh from my body. He cut a perfect square of meat out of me. Say, yeah, sure. I opened my mouth and let him feed me a bit of what he took off. It tasted horrible and made me sick knowing where it came from. How was that? Lovely? Well, it was good. Yeah, you know what? I kinda like my meat rare. I smiled weakly. He could fix this for me, right? It was good, I said, trying to sound perky. I was losing some blood and lightheaded, but I smiled for him. Cain put his hand on my head. That's a good pet. He pushed the food off of me and pushed a napkin on my wound. I let out a loud squeal at the pain. Hold it there till tomorrow, darling, he said as he left me on the table. I laid my head back with the napkin on my stomach. Somehow it felt better. I closed my eyes and passed out from the blood loss. I looked around and got up. I didn't see Cain anywhere. I walked into the main room and looked around. Let's look in the bedroom. I headed into the bedroom and looked around. Alright, at this point, you remember that phone I mentioned earlier? The tiny pixel, like, in the room? Yeah, we're gonna be clicking on it again, so let's go ahead. I looked at the phone on the side table. Did I really want to make Cain angry? What if he found out? I wasn't even sure if he was home. I picked up the phone. This was my only lifeline out. I shook as I looked through Cain's address book. Damien. The phone rang as I put it on my ear. What do you want? A grumpy voice came through the other side. It's me. He gasped as I could hear a bunch of clamoring sounds. Hey, Lion! Stay on the line with me a little bit, yeah? Damien said as he turned on his face cam. He seemed relieved to see my face. Hey, tell me a bit about yourself. So, we're not sitting around and staring at each other, huh? I stammered out. Damien sat himself in front of the camera. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm a priest and Cain is my half-brother. What? I hate him though. He's not beyond doing this stuff to people. Damien motioned to me. That's why I need to get you out of here. Could I trust him not to tell Cain? Hey, we're brothers after all. Cain isn't known for his brotherly love. That is still true. He's tried to kill me on several occasions. Maybe it was the look on my face, but did you read my mind? Damien laughed and tilted his head to the side. If I could read your mind, it'd probably be a lot easier to find you. True. Damien went quiet for a moment. Trust me, I am trying to save you. I felt my heart calm down and I nodded. Write down these coordinates. Damien started to speak in a commanding voice to someone. Got it. We're going to see you soon. We'll get you out. Damien said as he reached for the camera. I closed my eyes and could feel myself crying. You'll be okay soon. Okay. Something about his voice told me everything was going to be okay. Good. Tomorrow, I'll be there. Hold out. I nodded and Damien hung up the phone. I put it back on the side table and curled up in Cain's bed. I picked up my head at the sound of someone coming inside. Cain sat down next to me. Hello, pet. He put his hand on my face. Ah. He looked at the walls of his bedroom as he snapped his fingers. Chain shot out of the wall and he grabbed my wrist. I struggled to get free. You are unforgivably boring. Cain stood over me. The chains gripped me tight and pulled me on the bed. He put his foot on the middle of my chest and pushed down. Ask me nicely to let you go. Cain said as pushed into my sternum. Yeah, I'm gonna ask him to stop. As much as I want him to keep going, I'll ask him to stop. I bit my lip. I didn't want to beg for my life. Just want him to stop. Please, stop. He gave me one swift kick into my chest. I could hear something in my chest crack. I let out a loud scream and tried to put my hands on his shoe, but the chain strung me tighter. I could feel my arms pulling from their sockets. They were holding on by just a small thread as I screamed again. I could hear the joints popping, and I cringed, biting my lip. Louder? I can't hear you from down here. Cain mocked me as he pushed down on my chest. I was glad that the bed was soft and sunk me down. If not, I'm sure he would have cracked more of my ribs. Please, let me go! Alright, just cause you asked so nicely. He dropped me on the bed as I held my arms. I pulled and huddled up, keeping all my limbs close to me. He flicked my forehead and walked away from me. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to sleep. I laid down in his bed and closed my eyes. Well, I guess I'll look for the phone. I stayed in the bedroom and looked at the phone. Maybe Damien wasn't coming back for me. I sighed and sat down on Cain's bed with my knees up. I could feel something different. Hello? I called out softly. I could hear heavy footsteps approaching me. I quickly got to my feet and looked around. The door slowly opened and I looked at a blonde male. Damien, I said softly as he looked at me. Shh, it's me. I'm here to get you out. It's okay. You're safe now. I looked around. What's this said? I held out my hand to hold his, but I paused. Was this really the right way to do this? Cain seemed happy with me. I have a way out, but I really want to score on what Cain and I have. Wait, call for Cain? Sure, why not? But I am gonna save you just in case I messed up. Yeah, I'm gonna call for Cain. I retracted my hand and took a deep breath in. Cain! I screamed at the top of my lungs and Damien took his hand back. What are you doing? Before Damien could even react, I watched his arm separate from his body. Damien let out a blood-curdling scream as he held his arm socket and fell to the ground. Cain walked up behind him, licking his fingers. What do we have here, little brother? He stomped Damien's side and kicked him across the room. Thank you for calling me, darling. I wandered behind him and clutched the bottom of his blazer. He was trying to save me. I mumbled into Cain's back. Looks like you failed again. How foolish of you to walk into my domain without. I could hear a gas can going off. It rolled into the room and a shadow darted across the room to Damien. The figure picked Damien under the good side. What is this? Tch! A young man picked up Damien who was breathing hard. Freaking Christ, Damien! Are you okay? He said in a hushed tone. He must have been a part of the same order as Damien. Damien nodded slowly and looked at Cain. This isn't over. Dean narrowed his eyes. Do you even realize what you've just done? His voice dripped with a calm animosity towards me as he backed up. "You're not getting away," Cain said as he moved forward, but Damien and Dee disappeared in a cloud of black mist. Cain sighed and shook his head. He blew the smoke away with his wings. "He'll be back." He picked up Damien's arm and tossed it away like garbage, then looked at me. "You did well calling me as you did," Cain said as he reached over and touched my hair. "You can call me anytime. You can call it a favor. Just give me a ring, love." He reached out and he pulled me close, caressing the top of my head. "Thank you, Master," I said softly into his chest. "I don't want to let you go," Cain said softly into the top of my head. I clutched him close to me and bit my lip. "I don't want to leave you, Master. Please, don't get rid of me," I begged. I knew what his original intentions were. He wanted me to die, but "I have a proposition for you." Cain spoke directly into my ear and touched my hair lightly. I quivered and nodded my head that I was listening. "Stay here. I'll make you a demon, and you can be my precious pet forever. How does that sound?" I looked to the side and thought for a moment. "Okay," I finally said as he put his hands on my hips. "Good." He pushed his lips on mine. I could feel my body getting hotter. Was he killing me? My knees started to feel weak. This wasn't a normal heat. I felt my body shifting under his hands. "What are you going to become? A succubus? Cyclops? Oni? Let's find out together," he said as he watched me shift. I could feel an aura coming off of him that made me pant and go bleary-eyed. I gripped his blazer. Were those horns? Had a tail? Something about the sight of him like this made my heart race. He put his hands on my head, and I could feel the wave of pleasure hit me as the final stages of my transformation hit. "There you go, my sweet little demon. You're mine now. Yes, Master." "You survived. Cain made you into a demon." I know I could just end this right here, but there was one other ending I did want to show you, which was what happens when Damien saves you. Alright, I'll go with Damien. I took Damien's hand as he pulled me close. "D, let's get out of here," Damien called out into the other room. A hooded figure stepped out into the open. He must have been hiding just in case something went wrong. "I got you back." It was finally over. It felt like I was weightless as I floated away with Damien and Dee. In the blink of an eye, I was in a place that looked like a church. I clutched my wounds and looked at Damien and Dee. "Where are we?" "We're in the church. We're safe now, but..." Damien paused and looked at Dee for a moment. "You have to stay here until Cain gets bored. My brother is unrelenting. If he kept you alive that long, there's a good chance that he likes you more than a normal human. You'll be safe here. As long as it takes. You can stay here with us. As long as it takes." I rushed forward and hugged Damien hard. I felt his strong arms around me as he puts his hand on the back of my head. He slowly touched my hair and held me close. "Don't worry. I'll protect you. You survived. Damien saved you." Wait, hang on. This is live from the future. I know that it said that we survived, but apparently there is like more after the end of this ending. So anyway, I clutched my wounds and looked at Damien and Dee. Damien sighed as I walked away and turned around the corner. I still want to listen in on the conversation. I peeked around and saw Damien and Dee standing across from each other. "How do we keep getting ourselves into these situations?" Dee asked, looking at Damien with an accusatory stare. "Yeah, it's my fault. That's why I asked you to stay back while I got him out." Dee sighed and wanted to turn to leave, but Damien leaned back. "You think it's weird?" "What's weird?" "We're priests. We're supposed to be protecting people from the supposed dark underbellies. Yet, we both have demon boyfriends." "What?" "They both have demon boyfriends." "I don't know what you mean." "You know I have Venny. He's a demon and you're dating that one demon. The one with goggles?" "What? Ism? Are you sure you didn't sustain a head injury?" "You seem to be delusional," Dee said in a warning tone, almost like it was covering something up. "You sure you're not dating?" "You guys looked awfully close." Damien teased as Dee stormed away. "We're not dating!" "Sure, you're not." Damien watched Dee walk into the other room. "If you're not right now, you're gonna be." Walk away or talk to Damien." "I'll talk to Damien." Damien walked up to me as I looked up at him. What's wrong? He looked at the wooden pew and nodded towards it. Sit. He said in a commanding tone, and I immediately sat down. You sure are good at listening to commands. Damien flopped down next to me. He put his arms up on the pew and I scooted closer to him. Well, I'll ask more about him. What about you? What are you all about? Damien snorted and leaned back. I'm just some grumpy dude who tries to pick up people like you. People who Cain's picked up. Damien's green eyes didn't leave the ceiling. I know that much. What about you, Damien? I can't say anything good about myself, so I'd rather let you get your own impression of me. If only I can say bad stuff about myself, then that's all you get into your head. It's better if you learn from being around me. Then you can make your own decision. Hey, shouldn't you get to bed? Damien got up and I slipped my feet to the ground. I nodded quickly and he took a breath in, like he was going to tell me something. Never mind. Go sleep. He shoved me a bit. You're rough for a priest. He put his hands out and shrugged. Never said I was a good one, he said with a small laugh as he slipped into the shadows. I watched as the tail of his coat slipped out of sight, and I sighed. I wandered away into my own room. Who could sleep? I walked into the hallway and looked at the shrine. It was dark. Was there anyone else living here besides these two? It didn't seem like an open church, just two guys walking around sometimes. No sermons, no visitors. I felt my bare feet against the concrete and pulled the rope that was lying on my bed around me. Where was Damien anyway? I poked my head into the room that was empty. Look around more. I quickly moved on to the next one. It was filled with random bones, magic spells, magic circles, books, cups, and little plants. And a bed with a blonde man sleeping in the middle. Huh? Get in bed with him? Yeah, sure. I kneeled down on his bed. Damien grabbed my rope and pinned me to the bed, a sharp blade to my neck. I don't sleep very well. Why are you sneaking up on me? Damien said, examining my face. That's not how you threaten me. I like... Okay, I'm gonna go with that. Damien's cheeks puffed out a little as he pulled back the knife. He laughed and closed it. Well, I haven't heard that one in a while. He sat back and looked down at me. You're lucky I slept with my boxers on today. Sounds unlucky to me. I was lonely. I know that feeling. Think my company would be better? He laid back down on his bed. It's better than being alone. Plus, you look bored. You butt. He said as he pulled me up on his lap. I sat on top of him, looking down at him. This is lewd. Aren't you supposed to be a man of the cloth? Don't tell me you get this lonely, Daddy! Touch him! Oh, don't tell me you get this lonely, Daddy! Damien snorted. Daddy, you into this sort of thing? He grabbed the front of my robes and tucked me down to eye level. The musky scent of his cologne and sweat hitting my nose. Or would you rather call me father? Because I can punish you all night long, sinner. Damien whispered into my lips. His voice felt dangerous. His usual tone dropped into a confident growl, sending a chill up my spine. He let my ropes go and leaned back, his hands behind his head. Did you just come in here to talk? Damien asked as he pulled an arm from behind his head and played with a tie around my waist. Or did you want to do something else? He said as he tugged it. I could almost feel all of me being exposed to him. I bit my bottom lip without thinking about what I wanted to say. I want you to hurt me. Let's frick! Punish me, Father! Oh my god! Punish me! My head was spinning, but I could swear I saw dark metal wings. Damien, I moaned out as he curled up on his bed. I closed my eyes and I felt his body hit the bed with me. I reached out and hugged him, closing my eyes and feeling his warmth around me. I woke up in Damien's arms and I nuzzled him to him softly. Also, yes, I did have to skip a scene, so hey, if you guys do want to see it again on my Patreon, God, it's so awkward every single time I have to tell you guys this. I let out a soft grunt. It was actually sleeping this time. Morning, he grumbled. I didn't seem like a morning person. Kiss, spank his butt, push him off the bed. I'm going to spank his butt! I spanked him right on the butt. Get up! I yelled with a happy smile on my face. His eyes shot open as he shoved me. Brat, I'll get you for that. He pushed me off the bed and leaned over the side. I scooped my robe around me and stuck my tongue out at him. Don't stick that out unless you plan on using it. I could feel my face heat up and he helped me to my feet. He snapped his fingers and his outfit materialized around him. Lazy. He walked beside me and bumped me hard with his hip. I stumbled but didn't fall. I had to learn to put my clothes on that way. I can teach you too. Wait, really? Of course, it's magic. All you need is a master. He cocked his eyebrows and looked at me. You want me to call you master, don't you? Stroke my ego just a little. I'll call him master. Fine, Master Damien, I said, pushing him out of his room. Ugh, that felt so good though. Damien faked a moan as he stepped into the hallway. He stared at us as we wandered out of Damien's room. I'm not gonna ask. Good idea. Damien watched as his partner walked away. Whoops. Don't worry, Lion. You'll get over it. I'm not worried. I grinned and looped my arm around Damien's to get breakfast with him. He rubbed his face against the top of my head and gripped my hand. His large, warm hand, covering mine and squeezing it gently. He stayed with Damien. Aww, that was so sweet. Anyway, that was Boyfriend to Death 2, Fresh Blood. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to see more of this, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I will be covering the rest of the route soon enough, so hey, stay tuned for that. But anyway, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of the day. And as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion, signing off. Ciao.